Okay, we are live. So, welcome everybody to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee meeting. First one of, actually, I think it's the second one of um, April. Um, Before I start, does anybody have any announcement?
I do have one. Thank you for training, Rafael.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw James Nell blog post on on Blue Sky, but essentially there won't be a NodeConf EU this year. This should not be bring news to this group, but it's well, that happened. So
Okay, yeah, sad news. Um, any other announcement? Okay. I do have one. I'm preparing next Node.js 22 release. However, I received, I saw a bunch of conflicts. I'm also finding a good way to deal with it. But most of them are related to crypto, quick, and crypto changes. Uh, I have opened an issue on Node.js node with all the commits that are failing. And before asking for a manual backport, I will try to solve most of them again. But I believe that won't be possible and it will require a manual.
Raphael, I'm not sure if you accidentally muted yourself.
It looks like he's not in the meeting anymore.
I think I marked somebody else as co-host. Ruben, you are co-host. Anyhow, if you need to. If somebody else can take over, please, guys. I can't really. I am
Okay.
on the phone. Oh, Rafael, you're back.
Yeah, something is happening. Okay. That's it. I stopped talking about the 22 release and the conflict. So please, if you have the chance, go to the Node.js node and see the conflict issue, just in case you have any feedback on that. Uh, Reminders, we have to nominate people for the contributor spotlight. We have the link in the minutes. Please check it. For CPC and board meeting updates, does anybody have any update on that? Nope. All right. Moving on to the Node.js node repository. The pull request number 57401, which is doc project, has access to the LinkedIn. I think this is an pull request that Michael has opened. And I believe that we are waiting for Robin's feedback on that. But just to clarify, this is basically a discussion to give releasers access to the LinkedIn account of Node.js, not to post things, but to repost release announcements. I don't think we have any updates on this. Next one, the issue 54918, deadlock at process shutdown. I think this is a confirmed bug. We have also discussed it a couple times, and we don't have updates since last meeting. Yeah, that's true. Okay. We have.
Does it make sense to keep it in the agenda?
Yeah, I think it was Matteo that included that to the agenda, right?
I think so. Yeah, like guys, this is probably the biggest problem in CI. So if we need to find a way to get that bug solved one way or another. So if we can, if keeping it on the agenda is what we do, that's what we do. Like I'm sorry, this is we should be like it's if otherwise we should stop complaining the CI is flipping.
Okay. Do we plan to ask Foundation to pay someone to work on that?
There is no money.
Okay. All right. So I will defer that to the next week, just in case we have any updates. Node.js/nodejs.org. There is an issue, or actually a pull request, 7552 that was added. It's a draft. Let me see the reason. Michael added that to the agenda, but I don't have any context on this. If someone has, please jump it in. Okay. Okay, it's about having a list of supporters. I don't know if that's GitHub sponsors or companies. Okay, I will wait for Michael or Claudio in case he joins any further meeting to discuss that in details. The next one is, let me see, the request 7562, list official resources. Well,
Yeah, this one is not clear to me. They are asking us for consensus, but what?
yeah, there's no discussion. It
I'm not
doesn't
sure.
seem
I'm not sure
something.
why it's
Yeah.
in the agenda. Usually,
Yeah.
for the objects, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't think that
There were
it's the space
comments
for
from TSC
TSC to
people.
discuss that.
Yeah, I guess it's just for visibility, I suppose.
Okay. Like, okay, let's just assume that this is for visibility. So you all see that. And if you have any objections, please say so in the pull request. Now, Node.js TSC, new meeting times. Just a reminder, I guess, to update your availability in the spreadsheet. Is someone missing? Do you have that information, Ruben? I think I have the spreadsheet somewhere here.
Like we should just check again from the current times, right? Like everyone should check that they updated their availability to the latest one.
Yeah, we just double check because we have a Google Sheet and we have the last updated at, and I see that it's just missing Joy, Robert, James, and Yagis to update. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about CI situation. This is a long-standing issue. Antoine, do you have any update on this?
Me? No, I don't have
No?
any specific update.
Okay, just asking because you are the one that created the issue. It seems that it's another issue that is already on our agenda for a long time, and we don't have updates. I don't know if we want to keep it until we solve the situation, or just remove from the agenda.
Yes, I think we wanted to maybe open a position or have the foundation pay for someone's time to look at the flaky issue, and I'm not sure where this effort is. Well,
There is
how
no
far
money.
have we got?
There is no
There's no
money.
money.
As
Yeah, I
soon
think
as
it falls in the same situation.
it's the same problem of the above. There's no money. There is the solution. I'm working with the board to try to find a way to get money. Okay, but things are a little bit hectic at the moment, so I can't guarantee a timeline for that. So the moment I have, I hope we can have good news at some point.
Okay. Okay. Is that fair to remove from the agenda? Since the last time we discussed that the solution is okay, we don't have money for that position. It will be the issue will still be open, but no need to talk about it in the TSC meeting anymore.
I
If
don't
you
have
want, we
a
can.
strong opinion.
If we want to remove that, we can remove also the lock one, the deadlock
Okay.
one. They are
So,
connected. It's to some extent they are connected with each other. So if we want to remove everything, we can remove everything.
okay. Does someone agree on that?
Yeah, well, I would say that the deadlock is not just about CI, right? It's a bug in Node.js, and we would still want probably a solution for how to fight the flaky tests. I guess that there was also a discussion to use some Datadog Jenkins integration that maybe it's not something that we would pay, right? That's something they would maybe just give to us, and that maybe was discussing and keeping in the agenda.
Okay. I will just remove it from the agenda. The CI situation, removing from the agenda. Else, the final conclusion is that we need to have someone focused on that, but some ongoing conversations about a paid position is being discussed in the board. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, but wait, the
Sorry.
Datadog thing, that would not be something we need to pay. That's not something we need budget. We just need
The data
foundation.
log one is the CI situation, or is the deadlock?
It's the CI situation. It's to help us identify flaky tests, if I understand correctly.
Okay, and do you believe that keeping that to the agenda will make someone to work on that?
I think, yeah, I guess we need to invite Robin to a TSC meeting.
Okay, let me keep you on the
And
agenda then. Moving on, we have the Node.js admin. First cut at sponsor agreements and sponsor page documentation. It's a pull request from Michael, and it has been discussed in the last 3 TSC meetings. But I believe that's just for awareness, right?
Yeah, that one is currently blocked at the OpenJS board.
Okay.
in that sense, if you want, it can be removed. I have no
Okay.
update.
Remove.
The update is that we can't really do it. That's the TLDR.
This is blocked by the board or the foundation?
But it needs the board. Something like that will need board approval, and so far there is not. But the board, like the way it's framed, is not correct, and we need to iterate at board level to make sure that the iteration that the language and how it's presented is conformant with our status
Okay.
as
So
non-profit.
So removed from the agenda as some interactions are needed at the board level. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I would say this is the current state of things.
Okay.
Sounds more like legal, right?
It is. It absolutely is illegal. It is the legal and tax things. So, and it's technically possible for member companies to dedicate funds to the project right now. Okay. So, however, we are not listing it at all on our website. So if we want to do something there, we should do that.
Okay.
It's
I
a
see that.
message that was written by Michael.
Okay.
But
I've
it's
just
a problem
iterated.
mostly, it's first of all a problem at OpenJS level.
Right. Moving on. The agenda is empty, but I see that Paolo mentioned a pull request in the chat, which is the 56738 in the Node.js core repository. Paolo, do you wanna jump in?
Yeah, thank you, thank you, buddy. So the problem is that I keep receiving complaints on several times a year, basically, from about the network family auto selection feature, or in other words, happy eyeballs for people familiar with the algorithm. And basically, the problem is that the implementation I implemented in Node several years ago purposely doesn't follow the protocol, because basically we don't start parallel connection because we can't. The way the net module and the TLS module are written makes it impossible to have more than one C++ socket bound to JavaScript, to the JavaScript structure, basically. And it would involve a huge refactoring that I don't have neither the willing or the time or the money to take care of. So I implemented the protocol in a serial way. So basically, the way it works in Node, rather than trying to establish a parallel connection and take the first, I try to establish one connection. If it times out after a short while, I close it and start another one, and so forth. The default timeout that I've chosen there, basing on the applicable specification, was 250 milliseconds, which in theory from people in, which I thought it was a reasonable default, but many people, especially from Australia, trying to connect to Pacific or the US East Coast, they saying is too less. And they asked me to increase it. Now, I guess that, and I also asked Matteo and he basically confirmed that increasing the timeout is a somewhere minor change, while decreasing it in the future might be a somewhere major. And the problem is that if we increase it too much, let's say we double it, and you have a shitty network that basically will succeed on, I don't know, the third, the fourth IP, basically you will delay your connection attempt by 2 seconds, which I guess is definitely too much. So my question is for you is, shall I raise that value, and what would be a reasonable default for that?
could the default be we already have an option for that. Like the
Oh,
user
yes,
can
sorry.
specify that, right?
Sorry, I forgot. It's just out of user laziness because we have a CLI flag for specify a default, and we also have an API inside, a JavaScript API to set the default. It's just that people are lazy as fuck and they want this as a default. Or I guess, which might be also a reason why they keep asking for that thing, they are stuck by this problem in application like Selectron or anything that Raycast, to another one for Mac. Basically, applications that are internally using Node and for which, therefore, they don't have really control of the API. That might be my assumption. Otherwise, an API to do that inside JavaScript is already there.
Okay. I don't have much context on this, but just by listening to your thoughts, I don't think we should do that if we provide the correct mechanism to for them to update it.
Okay.
But that's just my personal opinion.
For example, Rafael, you're in Brazil. Have you ever hit by this at timeout that should not happen?
No, that has not happened. But I didn't like I don't test things like that very often using a sheet connection. Usually my connection is very good.
So the issue is that, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Richard.
I was just going to ask, is that so? So if we if we do have the options to set that, is that something that could be set in the config file feature that was added recently?
Yep. Yes.
So in that case, there are ways that could be done without necessarily having. Well, I suppose you still need to specify a flag to point at the config file, but yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward with Raphael that if we already have the configuration options and there are known downsides for just arbitrarily raising the value, then it feels safer to not change it.
Okay.
Marco?
So there is also the problem that by raising the default value, we make it slower for everyone. It will decrease the performance for everyone because like if the first connection, like IPv6 connection fails, then the timeout is is low, does not exist, is greater, and the retry attempt will basically it will make everyone a bit slower. So yeah, I mean.
If I may, before handing over to Rui, this timeout only applies if your just one clarification. This timeout only applies if your network is poorly misconfigured, so you don't actually get to connect to the first IP reported by your DNS. Otherwise, it's totally irrelevant.
Right. And my question would be, is that default value in line with other runtimes, other implementations?
Sorry, say that again, Rui. I missed that.
The current default value you said, right? Is that in line with other runtimes or their clients are used?
By runtimes, you mean Dino or similar, or what?
Or anything else? Yeah, I don't know, Python. I don't know.
Oh, to be honest, I have no idea if they even implement it. I never actually look it up, to be honest, so I can't really tell you.
Right.
Matteo? You're muted, Matteo.
Yeah, sorry. Well, technically, it's not going to make things worse for users that have properly configured network, okay? So if you have a properly configured network, if your network stack tells you that an IPv6 address is out there, you can connect to it, okay? We are only talking about misconfigured network. Okay, I wanted this to be very clear. Like the problem here is about misconfigured networks, okay? Like typically this happens because some the networking reports that there is an IPv6 stack, okay? And for DNS is reporting that the IPv6 is available, but some sysadmin did not enable it. So essentially making it not working.
Yeah.
So the reality is that in most properly configured system, if IPv6 is enabled, it's there, and therefore, IPs as an IPv6 address and everything works.
Yeah.
So this will overcome issues for most users when they're in having like a big distance in between. So I believe we should just go ahead with it. It shouldn't like have a negative impact on most users. And the question about it behaving in other platforms, I believe it partially behaves differently, but the problem is our implementation on a low level, and like libuv does not provide the way to cancel an already started call. So that would have to be implemented somehow, and I don't even know how.
Well, actually, good point, Ruben. Rui, to address your question, even if other languages implement this algorithm, if they don't have the limitation like us that they have to, like Ruben just explained, that we have to start the connection serially, they probably won't see a similar issue because they can just start all the connection that they see fit, and eventually the first one will succeed, and so it doesn't matter about the timeout on the others because they basically cancel that, which is something unfortunately we can't do. And for us, the timeout is likely to eat the users. And just to outline, basically the two cases that we are handling here, one is the one that Matteo pointed out, misconfigured networks. The other one, which are pretty much an edge case, basically people try to connect from, I don't know, Melbourne to Helsinki, so basically from different sides of the world. They, of course, have a huge RTT, and therefore the connection attempt is timing out, even though the network is properly configured. It's just that there is a huge physical distance there. And for them, it's actually eating them back, and people were complaining about this specific case. Unfortunately, while I love people from Australia, I have to conclude that this is a very extreme use case. So from what I see, the consensus here is not to touch it and tell people to eventually use the config file. Am I right?
I would actually be in favor of changing it because it should only negatively impact users that want to connect to a misconfigured server. And that should not be the common case. I believe we have way more situations where like people want to reach a server far away by default, and that would be a pain if they cannot do that with default values.
Okay. Given this, do you people agree if we, rather than doubling like people were proposing that PR, we, for instance, raised to, I don't know, from 250 milliseconds to 350 milliseconds, so it's a 30% more. We start with that little increment and see if people are fine with that, and eventually we revisit later.
It's hard to find like an arbitrary number without testing it. I think increasing it by 100 milliseconds might work, but my suggestion is to land that on a specific release line first. And for instance, do not land on LTS lines now, but Node.js 23, and see if for those users that has improved. And if we have some updates or people complaining about that before backporting it to LTS lines, because I'm afraid that if we change that number often, we will break the guarantees of stability we should have on LTS lines. Node 23 is Martinez.
Oh yeah,
of course.
What I can also do, I can get back to people in the PR reports that I have, basically. Ask them to use the CLI flag to see if putting, for instance, to 350 solves their issue. If they say yes, it solves them, then I will bring it back in the PR. So we have a reasonable value rather than just picking up numbers.
Yeah,
Three,
instead of
350 is unlikely to be enough. I'm just trying an online tool that pings a lot of servers around the world, and the worst for me is Singapore with 400 milliseconds.
Okay. Worst case scenario. So you're where are you, Michael? Remember me?
Switzerland.
Switzerland. So it's pretty big. And what ping do you get from, for instance, from Australia? Is it better than Singapore?
It's 300 in Sydney.
Oh, wow, it's better. Okay. I guess you should be fine then.
So I think it's putting it to 500 is a good number considering what Targos has said.
I agree.
Okay. 500
Like
is
if we need to change it, 500 seems reasonable for global connectivity.
Yeah.
So basically, I will just accept that PR, but in later, if we need to eventually lower it.
Yeah, that's my concern. If we
why do we
increase to
expect to
500,
lower it?
Basically, the lower it is because for people, I mean, if we happen to realize that many people have a shitty network, and they're actually, for any reason, their actual IP they want to connect to is make a number, the 6th reported on their DNS list, right? It means that they will basically connect to that IP after 2.5 seconds because they have to wait for the timeout for any previous IP.
Yes, but it's their problem. They have a shitty network.
Yeah, and they can also change their settings. So, like at least it will work for people who have a legit use case.
Yes.
Okay.
For people who have a misconfigured setup, they can still change their default values if they don't want to fix their network. And another solution in this case, long term, is to try to figure out how we can implement something to stop a call.
Yeah, yes, that's something important. Okay, so basically,
yeah, I think that makes sense.
So I'll recap. I will basically I will accept that PR and saying, okay, fine. As Rafael suggested, I will explicitly tell them test it on 24 because we're not gonna whatever release we have now, because we're not gonna backport it for now. If we don't see any problem in the far future, we'll eventually backport 22 and 20. Sounds fair.
There's a baking for LTS label you can put on the PR, so that signifies that we would consider it, but not immediately. So,
the baking for release whatever,
baking
right?
for LTS, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I will add it. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's all I need, folks. Thank you very much.
I will remove that from the agenda, and I gave my approval because I believe that the points Matteo and Ruben mentioned make sense. I think for those that will be affected, they likely it will be a small portion of users, and they can use the config flags for that. I think that's the end of our agenda. Do we have any other thing you want to discuss? No? So that's it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Please. No, guys, please stay on. We need to talk private business. Sorry, I forgot to say at the beginning.
Okay. Let me see because I don't see the live streams anymore since I resetted. Let me see if
you
we are still live.
You can do clay mouse if you go. You see you're a host.
Yeah, I'm a host, but it doesn't seem we have.
We are still streaming according to Zoom, but I would like just to mention on the strategic initiatives that V8 is still not updated, and I still need help on that. I tried to open a new PR for the latest version 13.6, but I'm hitting issues with how we are using the CPPGC API, and I have no idea how to handle those. So yeah, please help.
Sorry. The two blockers, Targos, were still, one is SmartOS and the other one is ARM7?
Yes, well, that's for 13.4, but that
Yes.
version of V8 is already 2 months old, and it would be better to update to the
Yes, but
latest.
we should. I agree, but I would settle in getting that in, okay, and then do the next one, because it is not that the new one will not have the problem of ARM and
Yes, the
SmartOS.
problems will probably be there, at least for SmartOS. We know that they are there. For ARM v7, I don't know. I started a CI, but it's still running.
Okay, so let us know if the solves ARM v7, then well, we can ship without SmartOS. I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's my thought. I believe that in the past we have shipped on a specific release without a tier 1 version, and we did that in the future.
Did you Joey? Did you were you able to take a look at CBP GC? I can't pronounce that.
So which part are we talking about?
V8 update.
I will paste the link to the PR. It's the update to V8 13.6.
Is it that that looks like snapshot, keep snapshot? Okay, I'll take a look. It seems to be violating some bogus, maybe bogus assertion.
Okay. Do you want to jump to the private mid?